Hello, this is John from caveofprogramming.com. Welcome to another video from C++ for complete beginners. In this tutorial we're going to look at outputting text in C++. So we're going to edit this helloworld.cpp file and we're going to see how we can output text in it. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to start a new project. Let's go to File, New, C++ Project and select Hello World C++ Project, and let's call this outputting text. Now at this point you're probably kind of feeling that the main program looks really crazy, and a really good thing to do is type it out yourself from scratch. Let's in fact delete all that, and I'm going to type just the kind of essential basic program myself. So, whoops, what did I do then? I'm not sure. So you need to start with a hash sign like this. I think in America this is called the pound sign, but in Britain anyway we call it the hash symbol. So you need a hash symbol and the word include, and then an open an open angle bracket. And when I type the open angle bracket, Eclipse automatically puts in the closing angle bracket. And in the middle of that, I'm going to type IOStream. So IOStream actually stands for input output stream. And by the way, don't worry too much about the stuff I'm telling you here. What I'm trying to do is get you familiar with this main program little by little. But the important thing here is just to be able to complete the task that I'm going to give you in this tutorial later. So what this is, it's actually a file that we're literally taking from somewhere else and we're putting it into our main file before the build is run. That's what's happening behind the scenes, and that's what include does. But don't worry about that. So we need that, and then we need to say using name space standard, and you finish this line with a semicolon. And very often you'll need to finish lines with semicolons in C++. That's something that you gradually get used to. When you start, you always forget them and you miss them off. But with practice, you'll just learn to automatically put the semicolon at the end of lines where they are needed. And after this, you can type int space main and an opening and closing round bracket. So again, Eclipse put the closing round bracket in for me. And then we put in an opening and closing curly bracket like this. So I'm going to type the opening one on the same line as main and then hit return. And you can see Eclipse has put the closing one in for me. Some C++ programmers prefer a style where this bracket, the opening one, will go underneath main like this instead of on the same line. But I think this style is, it's definitely gaining popularity more and more, I think. So I'm going to follow this style. And people who like brackets on the same line as the function name here, they get very annoyed with people who like them underneath, and the people who like them underneath get annoyed with the people who like them on the same line. But anyway, let's just forget about that. Now once I've done that, I'm going to type in here return 0 semicolon. So this is a statement in C++. We call this a statement, and statements have to finish with a semicolon. And again, this isn't going to mean much to you at the moment. The important thing at the moment is just to type this out yourself, just to start gaining a little bit of familiarity with it. And that's actually a legitimate C++ program, but it doesn't do anything. So once you've got this far, you can go to project, build project, and it should build without any errors. It should just say build finished. It's in blue here, and it should be fine. Now to output text, we use something called cout. We're going to type cout space and then two sort of well, they are kind of angle brackets. They're the same as this symbol here, but in this context where we're using them not as a bracket but as a sort of chevron. So following that, we leave a space, and in double quotes, and Eclipse has put the closing double quote in for me, and it must be double quote, not single quote. You can type something like this is some text, full stop. So between the double quotes, you've just got ordinary text, whatever you like. And after that, we're going to put in another chevron, space, and then end le, and then semicolon. So end le stands for end line, and C out, well, I'm not sure what the C stands for, C++ for all I know, but this means the out refers to the fact that we're going to output text. So you think of this chevron, as sort of sending this text to this thing here. This is sending this end le also to this object here. And end le, it actually puts like a blank new line after your text. And it also flushes the buffer. And what that means is text can actually accumulate kind of in your program without appearing on the console. And this end le, one thing it does is it flushes the output so that whatever saved output, it's actually kind of saved up by your operating system. This will tell your operating system that it should output all the text that's waiting to be output. So if you didn't have that there, technically it's possible that this text might not appear at all. Okay, so, and you'll notice the cout, it must go before this return statement, and it must be within these curly brackets here. And this thing here is actually a subroutine, it's a function. It's a block of code that's gonna do something. So don't worry if any of that went over your head. Like I say, type out the main program yourself from scratch and try to get your version working, and you will probably miss things out, and you'll have to go back and look at the automatically generated version. And by the way, I think the automatically generated version, it has this stuff at the beginning here which we can expand with a plus sign. It has that stuff, but these are just comments, so you don't need these. You can leave them off. Let's get rid of that. So I haven't put them. You don't need that stuff. And in my Eclipse, the comments appear as green, so they're not vital to the program at all. Let's now build this. Let's go to Project, Build Project, and let's run it. Actually, I've already built it, so that didn't really matter. Let's select the actual project. Yeah, you need to make sure you've got the right one selected, and click the Run button. And yes, I want to save it, and it runs, and it says this is some text. So again, it's a big achievement to get to this point. So don't think that you're wasting time typing this out yourself. It's really not a waste of time. You've got to become familiar bit by bit with this main program. Let's have a look at what else we can do with outputting text. So we can put more of these cout statements in here. And what's going to happen is that C++, it's going to execute all the statements. So this is a statement, it ends in a semicolon. This is a statement, it ends in a semicolon as well. And it's going to execute all the statements one after the other within this main program. So within this main function. So between this bracket and this bracket. So this is where your program will all start, and it's going to go through line by line here and execute everything you type here between these brackets. So let's put another cout statement in. Let's say cout chevron, this is some more text, full stop. Of course, what you actually type here doesn't really matter, as long as there are no weird symbols in that will confuse C++ somehow, like another speech mark or something like that. Then you can type whatever you want in here, basically. Try typing different stuff. Let's put in another chevron and end le. And let's run that. And yes, save it. And so there we've got a program with 2 lines of text. And the thing that's creating the, we call it a carriage return, the thing that turns the next line into a new line. So after this line, there's a carriage return. We call it a carriage return because when we used to have typewriters, to create a new line, you had to roll the kind of thing with the paper on and then move it back all the way to the left, and that's called a line feed and a carriage return. So here technically we've got a line feed and a carriage return after this sentence, but we can actually output text without the line feed and carriage return. So to do that, let's put some text. Let's put it at the top here. Let's type cout chevron, two kind of left pointing angle brackets, and let's type starting